All right. Um, Welcome back after a brief, you know, um, break of 1 week because of what really happened in my family with my wife. So thank you all for those who have heard about it and prayed with us and lifted my wife and the family for the loss of their dad. After less than 1 year that they have lost their mom. So we thank you so much for standing with us and holding with us. And therefore, we have to get back, as we continue to grieve. So that still, be there. And so we will continue to compartmentalize it, to kind of get it, out there. We are not going to relieve it so that the trauma will not, um, suppress or frustrate us the more, but rather we have to get over it. So that's why we need to compartmentalize it. So thank you very much. So welcome back to the session of marriage and psychology, or I mean, sometimes you don't know what to say or which words to use, or psychology in marriage. And of course, it's my pleasure to always hear, listen, and welcome all your questions. Let me start with a question that was sent to me, before the sudden death of my father-in-law. There was a question about something that happened back there in Nigeria, in one of the states. I know someone was asking, what do I think about this? And what is that thing? Is about another way that we, in our trying to enjoy, I mean, I don't want to say the most, but one way that we can plagiarize, we can enjoy the moment of love with our with our wife, wives, so to say. So this person was saying there was I don't know whether it was publicly made or just something that was just within a particular group of people, but he said um, a commissioner passes an information to say that uh, women should uh, stop their husbands from taking from breast milk. Breast milk. It was not really clear as regards to what the person meant, or the whoever was passing the information, as regards to husbands enjoying their wife's breast. So let me just say this in passive. Maybe we'll take some day and talk about this. When I start to dig deeper in terms of how do we enjoy our marriage. Because I've been focusing on even before the marriage. That's what I've been focused. I don't want to just jump into. I said foundation matters. So now, when it comes to this question, brother or sister, whoever was, I cannot remember the person who was asking the question. Now, one thing that I know that when you read the book of Song of Songs, as regards to the relationship between partners, or between partners, and of course this person tried to say, okay, enjoy this about me, enjoy all that I have, it's all for you. Okay, and of course, and that in essence, meaning that all that he or she has is for that person. But it depends on what I am going to be talking about again: communication, understanding. If, like my professor would say, if your wife would enjoy sex on top of a drum, go on top of it, go do it there, because you guys, that's your understanding. That's how you want to feel it. That's how you want to do it. Go there and do it. If you want to go on top of three to do it, go ahead and do it. And that's you. That's yours. But that's not the issue. Now, breast, of course, the milk is made for a child. I don't know if husbands go there to suck, the milk. I'm not sure if it's the milk that the husbands are after. I think what the husbands are after, what is the biological projection, the hormonal, development that is with the woman, and part of what makes a woman who a woman is. And of course, it is meant to know that that part of a woman is so sensational, is so pleasurable to both the man and the woman. So I don't know the queen and embargo to that, if that is, if that was referred to the milk, if the milk is there and the man is saying, no, hey, I got to compete with my son or my child to share the milk. I think that's I would say, well, that's wrong, for the man possibly, because the milk is not meant for the man. But of course, the breast is of course, I mean, a child uses the breast to suck the milk, but the man uses the breast to kind of get the best of the joy of that moment, the love of that particular time. So it's all about, it boils back to communication. So that's why, I thought we should probably talk about communication even before marriage, which is very, very important. So I want us to look at the importance of communication before marriage. Of course, approximately, communication forms, or takes like a 75% of anything that you do in marriage, or even if not more than that, because everything that you do in your marital home, anything that you do in marriage has a direct connection, or it has its driving force from the communication, because you communicate to do this, you communicate to do that, you communicate to do this, or I want this, or I want that, or no, I don't want that, and of course, communication is not just by word. I know someone says that for communication to be effective, or if for communication to be achieved, is when this one says this and the other person is able to comprehend and also reply back, then communication has taken place. Which, I mean, of course, I wouldn't deny, I wouldn't disagree with that. And so and I know communication could be in different ways. We can communicate in different ways. There's communication that happens in our body, a body language. We call it body language. So, we communicate with our body. We communicate with words, So words, I mean, eh, of course, goes a long way. But some people say, action speaks louder than voice. So you can now see that when they say action speaks louder than voice, then it means it is not just the word that goes out there, but how sometimes people pay attention. So that's why, when I say psychology and marriage, or marriage and psychology, so that's what we do not, see. When you talk, you observe, you know in your observation, you are doing psychology. You're trying to kind of know the psychology of that person, and of course, you are using psychology also to understand someone's psychology. So definitely, in communication, for communication, or for a proper, a communication to take place, or for effective communication, there are a lot of things that we don't pay attention. There are skills that are out there, but common sense even should probably lead us to, or informs us, about that. But if you want to be more informed in terms of communication, of course, communication, number one big thing is listening. Number one big thing in communication is listening. I'm going to just list those things, then get back to kind of talking about it. But communication is listening. So oh, thank you, my brother, for the word of comfort. I appreciate it, bro, Dominic, Mark. So now, communicate. Number one thing that is so paramount in communication, listening. Listening is very, very important. Very, very important. So of course, before listening, could take place. Now one has to now kind of engage someone. You want to attend, to someone. When you attending to, if you want to seek someone's attention, you want to engage the person. You engage the person or attend to the person. Probably the person is seeking for your attention, that you want to attend to the attention seeker. Or if you want to kind of seek for his attention, you have to engage, by that. And so, of course, as you listen to the person, it's not like as soon as you listen, you want to just, kind of throw back words. You want to make sure you heard the person. You want to make sure you understand what the person is saying. Don't just listen as to voice or to something and you just kind of throw back. No. So that's why, to make that work, now you want to clarify. Now then is for listening, attending, then clarification. You want to clarify before you even respond back to the person, meaning you can, in a way of trying to kind of put it back to the person, same question. Oh, I heard you said this. Did you mean this? Or because you said this, because I just want to make sure I understand what you're saying. You are trying to clarify. Okay, you are trying to clarify before you say whatever you want to say. Then, there's room for validation. When someone says something, you want to validate the person, validate his point. So that when you validate his point or validate what he or she is saying, then you will have that, a good way of, for him to also give you a listening, ears, so that you can also communicate or say what you want to say. But if you don't validate that person, then definitely the person he's not going to listen also, because if you have listened to him and now he said all that you want to say, he poured all that he yelled, she just poured whatever. Listen. So after it, then you want to kind of give room for clarification, want to validate the person. Then the person is going to say, oh yeah, now he listened to me, and you validated the person. Now he's going to now also listen, to say, oh yeah, you're right, I'm sorry that you feel that way. I didn't know that would hurt you. So I'm sorry that you felt. If it's validations, that person feels. Oh, now you are feeling with him. You are feeling with him. But if you don't just listen and validate him, you just decided to say, I don't care how you feel because this and that. Now there'll be chaos. There will not be communication. There will not be understanding. So that's one thing that we apart from validation, you affirm the person. Not only affirming that, also you want to now make a declaration. So that's why declaration will come at the end, because declaring, you're kind of trying to say, okay, now after you say you're sorry, this and that, and the person is going to come back and say, oh, I'm sorry also. Well, I didn't know that you felt that way, and of course also I'm sorry that you felt also. So now if that's when you now the room for declaring has been paved, because so you understand, say, well, actually it's because of this or because of that or because of that. Now you are declaring, and that person now would now understand why that action that took place. Then both of you now would now sit, kind of say, oh, now we see what really happened and where everything went wrong. So that's basically some of the skills that you need to kind of. So but back to, as you plan to marry, definitely that people today didn't know or don't know why there's a shutdown in the family, that, or between the couple. Yeah, with the couple, the two shut down. They shut down. So within that shutdown, if now nobody responds to anybody, definitely the heart. You remember we talk about emotions, right? Remember what's going on, because right now there's going to be rumination. This one is ruminating in his own way. This one is ruminating his own way, and because none of them sees the inside of the other, so you don't know what is happening. You don't know what's wrong. You don't know. So definitely there must be communication. There must be communication. You want someone got to talk. All right. So, and that's why, when I'm thinking about, when I thought about, communication before marriage. So there's a lot to be communicated. There's a lot to talk about. You don't just want to have someone that you are so much attracted to, someone that you like, someone that you love, and just like that, you just love you love his look. You love his way of doing that. You love, of course, maybe, some of those qualities that you are saying in him that is coming, you just love it. But don't be carried away by those things that you see. You got to communicate, ask questions. You got to communicate. About those things that you see, if they are like that or not. And permit me to also, kind of bring this one in a blue, in case someday, in case I forget, somehow. Now, because sometimes, one time that I was doing seminar on about, with the singles and married. So someone asked a question. Now, I don't want to marry and make a mistake if this person is functioning or not functioning. Functioning in the sense whether, the person can perform, terms of love act, and or that, sexually, can intercourse really take place or not. So how can I know if I did not test? If I did not test, I don't. They want to, they want to go and do what is not. The Bible does not really agree. Even if the Bible does not agree, but you are doing yourself some kind of self harm. Harm in the sense is a harm because, when you start to eat something, when you start to eat food, when you are not ready to eat it, before you know, you just find yourself eating the food when you are not even ready to start eating it. So you want to make sure before you start to eat food, all that's supposed to be done before the food, you eat the food, you do those things. So that's why, even in this, there's a need for communication. Now, how do I know? How do I know? Yeah, to avoid, sex before marriage? How do I listen? When it comes to communication, ask all the questions that you ask. Don't see, don't, don't. If you live in denial and you avoid some of those questions, it now becomes a problem in the home after you make the home. But you want to avoid that. You want to make sure at least you are so careful. You're so out there to make sure you ask all the questions, every question you need to ask. You know, so that you communicate in such a way that the person understands you and you understand the person. If there's no effective communication, if there's no fruitful communication, because most of our communication, it limits or kind of stays at the apex of, saying, well, you love me, I love you, or I like the way you do this, you do that. But you don't ask futuristic questions. You need to ask futuristic questions. Okay, now that we want to marry, I don't know what's your sometimes you could be blunt. Tell me about your sex drive. Tell me about all of it. There's nothing to hide, because when you hide, and when you hide something now, then it means correcting it in the future is not gonna be possible. But you don't want to hide anything. You want to ask about genotype. What's your genotype? You want to ask about your blood group. You want to ask this one that I'm even saying. They are just part of what sometimes we don't take them serious, but they are very, very important. You don't have to wait until someone tells you, okay, I want you, before we embark on this premarital counseling, I want you to kind of go and do a genotype test, and to know your genotypes, or to know your blood group. You don't want to wait until that is asked of you, but you yourself, because each thing, a genotype has its own uh, consequences to manage. Of course, blood group have its own consequences, but you want to go by. I mean, you want to take the low risk. You don't want to take the high risk. So, and that's why you need to communicate. Before you marry. And of course, some of us, of course, we don't. I mean, we're not good in talking. So, but you kind of have to spark what I say, spark the conversation whichever way, spark the conversation. You don't want to be shy. Don't shy out of that. You want to make sure, because tomorrow, if you don't communicate now, communicating in the future will be difficult. Like another, something that I also want to point out. I said, to allow communication to be free, to be to flow natural, organically. So uh you don't want see, if you marry your, I don't know, when it comes to the antidote of a particular thing, if you marry someone that is not your friend, in essence, what I'm trying to say, if you marry a friend, you know how you communicate with friends, right? you know you communicate freely, you talk about everything. You talk about anything that. So you want to marry a friend so that communication will not be. You don't have to be formal in such a way that, oh, you want to plan, you want to sit and you're like, can I say this? What if I say this? I don't know how it's going to feel like. When you in friendship, you talk it. I mean, of course, it depends on how you define your relationship, how you define your friendship. Because you want to talk about anything, and it doesn't matter what you say, because you want to say it because you want a relationship to go on. So that's why you're asking a question. You want to know about something. And so in that case, like I said, before you marry, you want to kind of ask a lot of questions about the person's tradition, the person's culture, the person's values, because we have individual, we all have our individual values. We have what we value. Like some would say, my values in life, I value God's word, meaning God's word guide everything about me, about anything that I want to go for. And someone will say, well, I value happiness, meaning happiness, it's the driving force to making me do this one, do that one, or to making me become effective in all that I'm doing. We all have don't I don't want to go to what I'm my one of my prof my professor, Sigmund Freud, who would say that everything boils back to sex, and that's, you see, now. But even the sex, if there's no proper communication, let me tell you about when they shut down in communication. You think you cannot go overnight without sex. Let me you whether you like, there's not going to be sex, because you're going to be fighting, because you want it by force or by crook, by hook or crook, you want it. But communication would now help you not to not to block, not to bring shut down, so that you don't go to bed. I mean, you are burning with passion, of course, with passion. You don't want to turn it, you don't want to turn, no, communicate. Because you prepare yourself before that time. So that's why talk about all those things that you have been dreaming when you've been thinking about marriage. Ask questions about those things. Ask questions about your plans in life. Your This is what I would want if I marry. This is Talk about those things. Exhaust all your questions. Don't. I mean, I just wanted to, don't hide away from it. Don't hide away from it. Because communication, like I said, if it's affected, it will affect the whole of your marriage. It will affect the whole of your marriage. So it is about communication. So now, and also, to say that, when there's limited communication in the home, but much communication out there, like some people I know, Some people are good, in terms of making friends out there and living their home. They are more outside inclined. Like you have friends, you go to this person's house, you go to that person's house, you go to that person's house. But I mean, you talk and talk, but when you come back home, you're nowhere. You are more than you are just like a rock in the house that cannot talk. But you are out there, meaning there's a problem. So maybe when you got married, so you observe something. So because you have observed something, so now you're kind of, oh no, I'm not going to talk because this will happen. So talk about it before, because you don't want to shut down in your home. You don't want to keep quiet in your home, because everything in the home is talking. You have to talk about it. You have to talk about where you're going to go. You want to talk about what you're going to cook. You want to talk about your plan in the future. You want to talk about the children. You want to talk about your budget. You want to talk about the food. You want to talk about, going out for this. You want to, everything is communication. Is communication. Because most of the time we only limit our communication. Okay, love communication, body language, or how you would know if she want it, if she doesn't want it, or that's how she's gonna listen. You have to do the needful before it escalates to something different that you never envisaged, that would happen. you know Talk about it. You don't want to you need to talk about it. And of course, like, communication, there are two ways, or there are two types of communication that I can say, probably in marriage. One will be communication that comes out of just happiness, and everyone everything is normal. So I would say I would call that one infatuative, communication, which is full of, I mean, everything is normal. So you talk, sweetie, you talk, oh, honey, or my love, whatever name, pet name, or whatever sweet name, love name you give to your wife. So those one comes from that, side of the communication. But there's one other communication which I'm gonna showing of understanding, show of understanding. That communication comes when there's conflict, when there's a problem. And that's why I give you those skills, how you're going to go about it. Show of understanding comes out when there's a problem, when there's conflict. So normally when there's conflict, then definitely, you know you want to show. I mean, maybe someday I'm going to talk about that. How do you do that? How do you, apply the principle of show of understanding in a marriage? So, but I just, kind of don't want to just jump into talking about marriage without, saying this, because it is very, very important, because even to the preparation of marriage, you want to talk about it. Don't be that person whom mama would say, this is the person you're going to marry. So mama takes the conversation. Mama takes every communication for you. Oh, mama is going to go talk about this for you. Or papa is going to go talk about this for you. Or, no. Uh-uh. It's not, the marriage is not going to be between papa and the lady. It's between you and the lady, or between between papa and you, the guy. It's both ways. So don't allow parents to talk for you. Now, talk for yourself. What you are seeing that is not right in the relationship, talk about it. But don't, completely, put your weight, on your parent. Oh, mom, um she said this. Oh, she said that. What did you say then? Go back and tell her this. Come on, that is not good. That is not going to be good, because tomorrow when you marry, you're going to do the same thing. You have a problem, then you want to walk back to your parent, and you want to ask, your mom or your dad, this is what happened. Because it's not, the marriage is not for dad, the marriage is not for mom, it's for the two of you. That is why you want to learn how to communicate in marriage before you get into that. And of course, like I said, there are some things, I can do that with you, if you want me to call him for you want some coaching in terms of communication before marriage. We can I can do that. You can we can do on a personal basis, one on one. You can call my number anytime, then ask me what are those other ways that I can communicate, or what type of question do you think I should ask before marriage. We can talk about that, how you can ask them, and what you should say and what you should say not, because there are some things you might say, or questions that are not, that are empty, that are not effective, that will really lead to a proper planning, and that would transit to that home that you are dreaming or that you are praying for. So, but just to kind of let you know that yes, of course, Johanna, yeah, thank you. Praying with you too. So it's very very important communication. It's not only when you get you married, then you now begin to, okay, how do we do this, how do I say this, because many books, and of course relationship today, I've heard many professionals who are out there, they talk about what it should happen in, but I feel that there are things that should happen even before the commitment is made, or before you venture in that commitment. So, and that's why I feel we need to kind of talk about this too, so that um, that is kind of understood. If we understand that that forms part of our the solid foundation, as you plan to marry. So um, I am well, I don't want to let the cat out of the bag, or kind of but I'm trusting God, probably maybe if not next week or so, one of the renowned, one of the person that I so much respect, someone that she's an inspirational also, she moved me towards doing what I'm doing today, in terms of because I saw her, she is very good at that, in handling marriage. She is someone that is followed by thousands of people. So by God's grace, if if all things work well, I will be hosting someone that you would not want us to end the conversation, or you would not want us to end this session by the time she appeared and you see her. So of course, relationship matters. So let me give you a clue. Relationship matters. So uh, you hear this name, you hear this, this topic or title, you know who I'm talking about. Relationship matters. So by God's grace, if all things work fine and equal, and so we would be having a conversation, discussion with this sister, with this person that I hold, so they are, to what she loves doing, and what we are all doing together. So thank you guys, and I keep the hope alive, and as I say, and don't give up the hope. No matter how bad that marriage is, the option is not getting out of it. The option is, talk about it. I know that if you made that mistake for not talking about it before now, but like I said, always allow room for creativity. Allow room for creativity. So this is time now to communicate. If there was no communication, this is time now. Communicate. Talk about it. What is that? But remember, like I said, if you want to communicate something for someone to understand, show understanding. Like I said, we'll talk about show understanding sometimes, but no, but apply those skills that I put out there. You want to listen to the person. You want to kind of clarify what the person is saying. You want to validate and affirm the person. And of course, before you make any declaration, make sure you do those things before, you know, um, so that a good communication would take place. So um, keep it on, keep it on, keep it on, keep it on. It'll work. It'll work. I know. Many people say, "Well, Pastor, it's not going to work." I'm done. I'm done. Yeah. Sometimes there are if the mistake is made, so to repair it is always difficult. So, but with God, all things are possible. It'll work. But we have to be the ones to kind of to give in. We are the one to kind of make sure we make it like Of course, nobody's gonna give you peace. You give peace to yourself. Nobody's gonna give you joy. You give joy to yourself. Okay. So yeah, let it work. Let it work. Allow it to work. It'll work. Trusting God, humility, patience, and faith. Humility, patience, and faith. Put it out there. Go for it. It'll work. I know no marriage is perfect. I don't think as if I'm on bed of roses and then nah. Don't think my marriage is a sweet. No, no marriage is perfect. No marriage is perfect. So if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. And of course, if it's broken, it's broken. But you can amend it, and if you cannot, find a way to play around it until when it cannot, until when it cannot. So thank you guys, and always come, always come. Let's talk about this. It's don't give up on marriage. Don't give up on marriage. Okay, don't give up on marriage so that you begin to think about something different that will not please God. But let's talk about it so that we can we can we can succeed together. Thank you so much. Love you guys. Stay tuned. Bye bye.